So here we go, the next job after cleaning up the tops of these, putting a little bit of fresh felt on the surface of there, and all the other jobs is to recenter them, which is where you do that little join there, look. Because at the moment I've de-pinned them all. So there we go, that's one, and this is what it looks like on the old flange. Now what we've got is bags of these pins that come in different sizes, and here's one of them. Ta-da! I've got to get that pin through there, so that it's doing that. But I can't just choose any pin, I've got to choose the correct size of pin. If I choose a pin that's the same size as the originals, it won't be tight in the wood in that hole, so I've got to choose the next size up. But if I choose the next size up, there's a chance that it'll be tight in that bushing. So what I've got to do is I've made myself a little reamer, or brooch, some people call them, and what you do is you brooch the inside of that hole. You ream the inside of that hole, and it just takes away a little tiny piece of the cloth, just enough so that when you push that pin through, you get the right amount of grab, right amount of resistance in the cloth. Then you put that on there, you put the pin on that hole over there, you put that, one of these, in this machine here, you put it over there, and you go punch to punch the pin in, and then you get them cutters and you cut off the wire that's left on either side, or just that one side usually. But so there you go. And then we've got a little measuring gauge tool here where it goes on and it measures the right amount of stiffness. There you go. Focus. And you're looking for it to be between about 2 to 3 grams usually. I don't like it any more than 3. And there you go. So I've got all those to do. Normally I'd have them all to do on the action as well, with all the hammer parts and the whippings and everything, but we're getting some fresh parts for that, so we might not have that job to do. We'll see. Sometimes you have to do it on the new parts as well. Anyway, right, so that's my job for now, and I'll make another video later on. Okay. Right, with the bottom parts all recentered and everything else done, I've got the rails cleaned up, the new felt put on, trimmed off, all looking good. That rail's cleaned up as well. The damper system is now waiting for the sostenuto replacement parts on here. So while they're on the way from the supply company, along with a load of other stuff that we're still waiting for, I'm going to get started on the keys. So I'm going to start taking these off over there, putting them in a box like so, and we'll have a look at what's underneath. Just to give you a better example, I'm going to leave some of the keys on so you can see what it is I'm talking about when I'm talking about this thing, which is the key frame, which is what the keys actually sit on. And all these pins here, look, they go up and down like this. Well, the keys go up and down like that, and there's the pins here and here. Now these pins are getting replaced, those pins are getting replaced, and all the felts are getting replaced, and you can see why. You look at, let's see if I can zoom in, look at this, look at the amount of rust building up on here. Unreal. Not to mention all the moth damage or bug damage, whatever it is. Look at, especially, look at that one there, look, yuck. And all these things around here, all, you can see the eggs, can't you? And down at the back end, that back touch felt, completely eaten away to the underfelt, that bit, look. Completely horrific, isn't it? Yuck, look how it's worn through there and everything. Look, that's not going to be, which is why it's a bit noisy when the keys are going down. Disgusting really, isn't it? I mean, that's the The key frame is the part that always suffers the most with in terms of getting grimy and worn felt on it. Absolutely disgusting, isn't it? Ugh. Yeah, sometimes found newspaper clippings under there that they've used for the paper washers instead, but it looks like these are just actually got paper washers. Yuck. Anyway, yes. I'll get the rest of these keys off now, and I mean that's just this thing. I mean there's a load of work to do on the keys as well. Got to shine these up, make them nice and smooth, repair all the worn felt on there, as I've said earlier. Clean the wood up a little bit, replace the felt in there, replace the felt in there. Oh, who's that? Guru Savage at the end. My German is not what it should be. Right, and yeah, there you go. But I'm gonna have to be a nerd again, because this kind of thing interests me. As I was saying before, I'm taking off these washers, and underneath there's bits of packing, little thin pieces of card and stuff that generally just get thrown away. These days, this is what they look like. You get these different varying thicknesses of paper washers, card washers, which are used to regulate how far the key will go down when you press the key. But back 100 odd years ago, they used to use pieces of newspaper, and sure enough, I have found pieces of 1903 German newspaper underneath the washers used to pack out the keys. Most of the people would go, oh well, that's not very interesting, it's just pieces of old newspaper, but I think it's fascinating, because that's been under that piano since 1903, because we've got the serial number of the piano, and we know from the history of the piano that it did come to the UK fairly soon after being made. So yeah, there we go, that piece of newspaper there, or whatever magazine or clipping it came out of, is over 100 years old, and sadly it's all getting binned now. Oh well. Right, that's enough nerdiness for one day. Right, nearly forgot to make a video of this part, just pulling out the pins and everything. Just push that on there, lever up, and they come out. But before you do that, you've got to make these little tiny blocks that fit over the top and are flush to the surface. And the same with the balance rail as well. Get a block, punch a hole in it, and push it down so that it's flat to the top. The reason being, when we push the new pins in, which are in there, you don't want to punch them in too far, because then when the key sits on, in fact I'll grab a key and show you this. Look. There you go. Now if that pin's punched in too far, when the key is at rest, it'll hover over the top of the pin and the pin won't guide it anymore. But if you don't push it in far enough, it'll smack on the top of the ivory. So you've got to get it. Hey? Yeah, the underside of the ivory inside the key, on that bit in there. So you've got to get these pins and those pins at the right height, and soaking off the felt at the moment as well. So taking all the pins out, cleaning up the board, cleaning up that as well, putting felt on, and we'll knock these in, the new ones, and it'll look lovely, and I'll make another video when I've done to show you the completed project. Okay, right, so that's the key frame cleaned up and all the pins pulled out. As you can see, it looks much nicer than it did. We have noticed down here there's a little bit of woodworm damage. We think it's historical, but we're going to spray it with some woodworm killer anyway, just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to go and pick that up. So in the meantime, before I start repinning that and everything, I'm going to clean these down. So we've got keys and we've got the back checks. I think I'll do the back checks first, and then I'll take the felt off there, and then I'll take the felt off of there. So Watch these. Splat. There we go. Just wait for them to soak.